Let's go, girls. Come on.
From New York City to Los Angeles, Powered Up with Beck and Franklin is giving women of all ages permission to live the life they've always dreamed of. Why live in black and white when you can choose the brilliance of 3D and Technicolor? Each week, Sandra Beck and Linda Franklin and their high-powered guests will be here to cheer you on, to share their challenges, their successes, and what they've learned along the way. It's all about women supporting women. The stories and practical tips on sex, beauty, money, and so much more are designed to help you reconnect to the powerful woman you are. Fabulous knows no limits. Now it's time for you to expand your boundaries. Here are Sandra Beck and Linda Franklin.
Hey ladies, this is Sandra Beck and I'm here with Linda Franklin and we've got a great show today. We're going to talk to the author of Wake Up, The Universe is Speaking to You, and I think today the universe has punched me like right in the sinuses. I'm sure you guys can hear that I have cold, but we're going to be visiting with Nancy Yearout later in the show. But before I have this great message from one of our sponsors, it's a company called HelloFresh, and for many of you, I know many of you are single moms that listen to the show, and I have got pounded with this cold over the last 6 days, and the last thing I wanted to do was get up, go to the grocery store, and quite frankly, day 5 or 6 of opening cans of soup or, whatever I can find in my cupboard is too much for me. And what a godsend today to get a HelloFresh box, knock on my door, answer the door, in comes the box, out comes the food. And I have to tell you, for somebody who's tight on time like I am, every working full-time single mom has this issue. And boy, when we go down, all the bowling pins go down because we've got so many balls that we're juggling. And so I want to tell you about HelloFresh, and I want to tell you about this meal delivery service because we have a promo code. We have a promo code. If you go to HelloFresh.com and enter in FRESH FAST. That's fresh like fresh food, and fast like, boy, we are fast. We zip through so much on a given day. This is a meal delivery kit service, which means you get a box inside our little boxes, and the little boxes contain fresh food like broccoli and potatoes and sweet potatoes and cucumbers, and these little packets of everything you need to make these meals. And even better, single moms out there, boy, they come with these cards. Or if you've got a husband that doesn't know his way around the kitchen, or you're a wife who doesn't know a way around the kitchen, you can take these little laminated cards. They have pictures on there. They tell you to chop, to scoop, to spread, to cook, to grill. All this stuff is self-contained. And these step-by-step instructions are so easy that my 10-year-old and my 13-year-old boys can do it, and they can make dinner. And so if you're a seasoned professional or you're a novice cook, if you're short on time, boy, you don't have to drive to and from the grocery store. It comes right to your door. It's fresh. It's wonderful. And the best thing about it is there's no food waste. And one of the things that happens when we want to make a recipe, you need a tablespoon of this, a teaspoon of that, a pinch of this, and you can fill up your whole cabinet. And, places like New York City and Los Angeles where space is at a premium, you can fill your cabinet up with condiments that you don't use. So all the condiments you need come in these little packets. So you just open, zip, rip, and cook, and you're done with your meal in 30 minutes. So you're going to want to go to HelloFresh.com, put in the promo code FRESHFAST. We want to thank HelloFresh for sponsoring our show today and making our episode possible. Now, without further ado, I'm going to go to Linda Franklin and wake up. We're going to wake up. The universe is speaking to you. Did the universe speak to you this week, Linda?
Yes, the universe spoke to me, but I, like you, I'm fighting this. I don't know what it is. It doesn't feel like a cold. It's just I end up with these coughing spasms, and this is heading into the 3rd week already, so it's getting a little tiresome. So I am going to go to the gym tomorrow, come hell or high water, because I haven't really moved my tush in 3 weeks. So I got to get back into it. But, everybody you talk to is fighting something. So I've got a really good guest today because I think she can help us with all that. But you know what? That HelloFresh sounds so fabulous that I'm going to try it too. And I am not a cook. But if it comes with all the instructions that you said, I said, that would be great. The only thing that could be better is they send someone to make it for you. But if you said your kids can do it, maybe even my husband could do it for me.
Well, there you go. I mean, it really was that easy. And it was so funny because we had this one recipe that had, it was like almond crusted, some sort of fish. I forget what kind of fish it was. And there was a little packet and they said, to take the packet out and, chop it up nicely, with a knife. Zachary, my 10-year-old, he took a spoon. He's like, whack, 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 whack. He's like, all done, Mom.
Okay.
So
that's
it was
all you
fun.
need.
It was fun and it was fast and it was convenient and it was easy. And boy, does easy sound good these days. And I'm beat by the end of the
Easy
day,
and
Linda. I
fast.
don't know what it is with this flu that's going around. I can run for about 4 or 5 hours and then I'm shot. And normally I've got like 10, 15 hours in the car.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it saps your energy, and that's what it's all about. And, I have a feeling that so many people are sick now because of what's going on outside of our homes. Every time you turn on the television or you read the newspaper or you're online looking at all the craziness that's going on, I think people are afraid. I think they're nervous. I think they're upset. They're disgusted. And, I think that stress, and we may not even think of it as stress, but we're taking it in, and I think it's affecting our well-being because just too many people are sick.
I agree. I mean, people are stressed out. They're nervous as cats. They don't know what's going to happen, with the economy, with Trump, with the changes. I mean, so many changes. And then on top of the political, economic, and physical changes going around in our environment, there's also this big spiritual shift that's happening, this big energetic shift. And if you liked what we're talking about so far, you can find more Powered Up Talk Radio episodes on iTunes. You can check us out at powereduptalkradio.com because this shift is here. Last year we talked about it was coming. It's in the process. It's happening. Well, we are in full-blown flux, like for, the flux capacitor, remember in the Back to the Future? We're just, lit up on all signals. And I can't wait to ask Nancy Yearout. She's our guest today. And if you want to go to her website, theenergyprofit.com, you can look at her while we talk to her. But I want to hear also what she has to say about this energetic shift. I'm going to bring her on sooner rather than later. Because Nancy, do you find that in your part of the world, you're feeling the effects of all this global shift as well?
Yeah, and I feel like time is speeding up. I feel like the days are going quicker. I think we're getting down. This may sound a little out there to you guys, but I feel like we only have a certain amount of time to get our act together. I just feel like people have really lost their way, and you are correct. The energy is negative right now, and we got to bring it back to a positive vibration, because that's what I talk about in my book. The vibrations that we put out are what come back to us. It's very simple. So all this negativity that's swirling around is, yes, causing illness, and yes, causing negativity and some havoc in the world. So this is one of the reasons I wrote this book. I think a lot of people are just not aware that this energy is around us. They can use it to benefit themselves, and they can also use it to, they need to clear themselves. And that's what I was going to tell you, ladies. Have you taken a sea salt bath lately?
No, I haven't.
No, I haven't either.
Okay. Something you can do, because we're out in the world and there's so much negative energy out there. A very simple thing you can do for yourself when you come home is put some sea salt in your bathtub, put a couple drops of lavender oil in there, and it will clear your energy fields. Just get in there and soak for 30 minutes. You'll be surprised. Now, I'm just going to tell you, don't always use salt. You can also use a sugar scrub. The reason is sometimes what you're doing is you're adding salt to the wounds. So what you want to do is use a little sugar to sweeten yourself up. And when you do that, you're still doing the same thing. You're sloughing off the negative energy off your body with the sugar scrub, but you are getting some of that yucky stuff off of yourself. Okay?
Well, and Nancy, one of the things I like about your book, and for those of you following along at home, Wake Up, The Universe is Speaking to You by Nancy Yearout, is it's easy to read. Like, I'm one of those girls that falls asleep at night in the bathtub reading a book. And when I first started learning about all this stuff, Linda's a pro. She's kind of been doing this for many years. But for me, I was new to this. And I would come away like struggling through, one of these big, deep philosophical books. And I have a master's degree from Northwestern. I'm not a dummy, but I couldn't understand it. And your book simplified it. It took me chapter by chapter for kind of like what I needed to know. And the best part of it is it gave me a language so that on certain things I could dig deeper. I could go to the internet. I could go buy other books. And so I really recommend your book for somebody who's new to a lot of this spiritual change education, because it clarified things for me. And this is 2 years after being on a spiritual radio show.
That makes me happy that it helped you. And that was the goal, to help the average person understand some of this stuff, because people don't realize that they have the ability to make their life be any way they want it to be. And we're not using the energy as it was intended.
You know what? I think it's so great. I mean, if you are just starting on your spiritual journey, if you are wanting a great overview of kind of the different concepts that are out there, from energy healing to chakras to even the sea salt bath that we talked about. And Nancy, before I take us on a commercial break, why sea salt and where do you get it? I mean, do you just, I don't even know, like, is it like Himalayan sea salt that we see like in the fancy stores?
Well, you don't have to go to a fancy store. The grocery stores have it. Go to the grocery store and look in your, section with all your spices, and you'll see sea salt. And you just want to put like a half a cup into your bath, and it will, what it does is it gets rid of that negative energy. It's the property within the salt that does this. Years ago, and you'll hear this with the Hawaiians, they would put salt in front of the front door to keep out negative people. People still do this. You can put salt around the perimeter of your property. And the salt, believe it or not, is a deterrent.
Excellent. Excellent. I'm going to take us to commercial break. We're visiting today with Nancy Yearout. Her book is called Wake Up, the Universe is Speaking to You. Now, if you want to try HelloFresh and you want to get $35 off your first week of deliveries, you're going to want to go to HelloFresh.com, put in your promo code FRESHFAST, and we will be back after the break talking more with Nancy Yearout.
We've got lots more Powered Up with Sandra Beck and Linda Franklin after these messages.
In today's business world, a helping hand or idea that doesn't come with an invoice is a treasured find. And if that happens to you, then you need to pay it forward to keep other entrepreneurs from making mistakes or getting a raw deal. It's called Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi, Wednesday mornings at 10, 9 a.m. Central. Josephine is going to have the guests describe their accomplishments, the lessons they've learned, both good and bad, and then sharing those pieces of knowledge as we create a movement of paying it forward. For more information about Josephine, her business, and background, you can go to mymomknowsbest.com. Josephine Girassi has always been a problem solver. She saw this need and has turned it into a movement. It's Paying It Forward, with tips, tools, and advice and hard lessons learned. These pieces of knowledge can make a huge difference for you, your business, and others. So join us for Paying It Forward with Josephine Girassi, Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m., 9 a.m. Central on TogiNet.com.
First official 4th of July party was held at the White House in 1801. But did you know that countries other than the U.S. celebrate American Independence Day or July 4th? Denmark, Italy, Portugal, and England all have 4th of July parties. In fact, the British celebrate their independence with bungers and fizz gigs, otherwise known as firecrackers, just like in America. Squib is slang for an electric match used in pyrotechnics. Our dog celebrates July 4th every year the same way. by cowering under the bed. Many European celebrations take place, of course, at American military bases. I'd like to send a special thanks to all our armed forces stationed around the world for everything you do to provide freedom and independence to America.
It's marching in the
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
We're back with Sandra Beck and Linda Franklin. Here's more Powered Up with Beck and Franklin.
Hey, ladies, this is Sandra Beck, and I'm here with Powered Up Talk Radio, and we are visiting with Nancy Yearout. And if you want to get your $35 off your first week of deliveries, you're going to go to HelloFresh.com, and you're going to put in the word fresh fast. And HelloFresh is that meal delivery kit service that we talked about in the first episode of today's show, and it's fun, easy, and convenient. So there we go. There's my general housekeeping. I'm going to go over to Nancy Yearout, and you're going to want to check her out at theenergyprofit.com. And we're going to talk with her about her story. Both Linda and I are very, very convinced that people learn from parables. We learn different things about people's stories, and we may forget the principle, but we don't forget the story, and then the story triggers this principle. So we're going to go to Nancy and ask her a little bit about her background and her life story, and how did it lead up to you becoming a spiritual teacher?
Right. Well, it was interesting. I went to Sunday school when I was young, but, I was never real big on going to church. So I wasn't that spiritual. But I ended up being a single mom with 2 little girls. And I was a worker, and I had to earn money. I ended up going out to New Mexico for my parents to kind of watch the kids, which was wonderful, so I could work, basically. And I fell into the real estate business. And you can read the story in my book. I went through a couple different jobs, but somehow God led me into the real estate business. I believe it was divine intervention. And I started to learn about affirmations and visualizations and things like this. And I had a lot of spiritual teachers, and I had a spiritual teacher. Her name was Naomi. And I'd say I have to sell a house because I have to make money, because that's how I survive. If I don't sell a house, or I don't sell some land or real estate, I don't eat, and the kids don't eat. And she'd say, Nancy, draw it in. And at first, it took me a while to figure out what she was saying. She was saying, draw that to myself. And the way you do something like that is, and I started saying affirmations. I would get in my car on the way to work, and I'd say, I sell houses like crazy. And I'd say it 5 times. And I would feel it, that I would sell a house. And she would say to me, you have to be able to put the intention out to the universe. So what you're doing is, and let me explain this, your words. And Jesus talked about this in the Bible, whether you're religious or not, you need to understand this. What you say and what you think holds a vibration. This vibration, if I say I sell houses like crazy, I am telling the universe what I want. The universe was set up in a way that it's here to oblige us. So when I say I sell houses like crazy, as long as I believe that, and I have that feeling, that vibration, that intention, that is what will come back to me, because the universe only gives you what you ask for. And that is why it is so important to watch your words. So I would say, I sell houses like crazy, and I did. And I learned to draw things to myself. I also learned to protect myself, because the more successful I became, the more people didn't like me, and the more negative energy they sent to me. Okay? And this is a fact, and you need to understand this too. You can draw anything to yourself, and you can become successful, but it can be ripped away from you too by people shooting negative energy at you. And that happened to me as well. I had a thriving business, and it stopped. And I went to see a Native American lady in New Mexico. And she said, do you know about energy vampires? And I said, no. What are energy vampires? And she said, those are people who steal your energy because they can't create their own light. Okay, and think about that. People, there's some negative people out there. They don't like positive people. So I learned to protect myself, and I learned to put white light around myself. Now, in the beginning, I had 2 little girls, so I would bubble us with white light. The light from heaven is what I would imagine or visualize. And it was interesting. We would go to a public place, and no one would bother us. It was like we weren't there. But if I forgot to bubble us or put white light around us, people would get in our bubble and we'd have issues. So it was quite interesting. So I started to do affirmations, and I started to put white light around myself. And I started to do all these things to protect myself and to protect my business, because out of necessity, I had to make money. And that's what I did. And the more successful I became, the more difficult it became to protect myself. And so that it became necessary to learn more and more ways of keeping myself clear, of keeping my energy fields clear, so that I could be productive as a single mom. Does that make sense?
And Nancy, I just want to jump in here because I ran a real estate office in Beverly Hills for almost 14 years. And I wish I had known some of this stuff so I could have prepared my young agents, because you're working with people, you're working in people's homes. You get so involved in their energy in a real estate sale. People don't realize this. You know, you're in their home, you're meeting their dog, you're talking to their nephew. I mean, these are real life situations that happen. So you come into contact with so many people. And in fact, that's what I would train my young salespeople to do. It's just a numbers game. It's a people's name. Meet as many people as you can. Get to know everybody. But what that also means, and it was interesting, Nancy, because some of my salespeople, the ones who did really well, did have this like automatic positive bubble. They stayed positive, and there was like a little invisible shield between them and everything else. Mm-hmm. Then there was like, I used to call them my sponges. My sponges could go to an open house and beeline every person with a sick kid, a dying mother. They would get all drawn into the drama. And I really, until now, just thought about my staff over, I don't know how many years. I could lump them into who was going to make it, who wasn't going to make it. And if I had known to help people to create that bubble,
yes,
they could have had a better experience, probably made more money, and had a better livelihood and lifestyle just by having that bubble. Because I would vastly between bubble and sponge.
Well, and I want to interject here really quick, and this is really important, and this is something I learned right away in the real estate business. It's the power of the intention. Every sale I have ever done, anybody I've ever helped in real estate, and I'm still a real estate broker, and I still sell real estate. I just closed a deal last week. But that your intention has to be pure. You can't think about the money. You have to do what's right. You know, and you will understand this. There was a girl in my office. I was a newbie, and she had 5 kids, single mom, and she needed to close this deal, and the house had termites. And she looked at me and she said, "Do I tell them?" And I looked at her and I said, "Yes, you do, because it's the right thing to do." Okay, so that comes into play when you are helping people. It doesn't have to be real estate, whatever it is. If your intentions are pure, you will be successful. But if you try to cheat and you try, you need the money and you don't want to really tell them and you don't want to really be honest, that's when the universe picks up on that energy too. And I talk about that, so it's whatever energy you put out, the energy picks up if you're not honest. You can't fool the universe,
No, you can't. And I had a term for that. I used to call it commission breath. I'm like, oh no, he's got commission breath, just breathe in and out, commission breath. And it's true of anybody that's in any sort of sales field. But we actually sell ourselves every day. I don't care if you're, in management, if you're a support person, if you're upper management, we all have internal and external customer service, where we have to sell each other to everybody in the office. And we all kind of have to work harmoniously. And when you add the change on top of what's going on into like authenticity and all these different things, it's so easy to get off track. And one of the things I found is your book has these step-by-step guides, like here's how you cleanse yourself of negative energy. And I want to talk for a little bit about these energy vampires, these energy suckers, because I found that most people aren't even aware that they're with somebody who's an energy vampire, an energy sapper, until they walk away and they're like, oh.
Right. You feel drained of all your energy and you don't even realize what happened to you. And that's true. And I'm going to tell you what happens when you're around somebody for a long period of time. And I've seen this happen with couples, husband and wife, where the they're not happy, and maybe one is sucking the other person's energy, and you'll run into them, and one looks wonderful and vibrant and healthy, and the other one looks drained and awful. What is happening is one is sucking the other's energy from them, and it's a bad situation. And I tell everybody, if you're in a bad situation like that, get out, because it won't get any better. I've seen people become physically ill because what happens is negative energy gets into your bones and into your muscles. That's why I talk about massage. And if you don't release that negative energy that's in your muscles, it's in you. Okay. And if you continue to have someone who is shooting you negative vibes over and over and over, and you don't clear yourself, you could be subject to disease, because what happens is your immune system actually comes down at that point.
You know, it's
now,
really
well, go ahead, Linda, because I want to ask. Linda was on Wall Street for many years, and I'm dying to know Linda, how was that for you?
Well, maybe we'll talk about Wall Street after the break, but I just want to, because this is so perfect, talking about energy sappers and how one person is vibrant and the other person is not. Just all we have to do is take a look at the inauguration. And Trump is up there doing his thing, and Melania looked like she died and went to hell. And it was so obvious, and, you know, she couldn't hide it. And it's funny, in today's, I think it's New Yorker magazine, there's a whole thing about her diary of the whole inaugural process. And it's funny, but it's sad. I mean, it's a whole, it's like a parody, but it's, I bet you she's good. She was so happy to get out of Washington and go back to her.
She's had so much negativity, I mean, she probably has.
Yeah, I mean, can you just imagine living with that 24/7? I mean, that would be enough. But that's such a. If people don't understand what that looks like, all they have to do is look at her when she's with him, and that's it. Bingo. That's the energy we're talking about. How someone can just come and suck it right out of you.
Well, and I think our population doesn't help when they throw jabs at her son and jabs at her. I think, there's so many things wrong with that situation. We have to go to commercial break. Our guest today is Nancy Yearout. Her book is called Wake Up, The Universe is Speaking to You. And again, for HelloFresh, if you want that $35 off your first week of deliveries, go to HelloFresh.com and enter in our show's promo code, which is Fresh Fast. That's fresh as in fresh food, and fast as we are going to commercial break. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk about Linda's experience on Wall Street, and we're going to marry that with Nancy's experience of protecting ourselves against negative energy. We'll be back after the break.
We've got lots more Powered Up with Sandra Beck and Linda Franklin after these messages.
This is for all you girls about 42. Tossing pennies into the fountain of youth.
LinkedIn. It's a great tool and a great way to do business in today's social media driven world. And Carol McManus is the LinkedIn Lady with the LinkedIn Lady Show. Tuesday and Wednesday afternoons at 4 p.m. Eastern on allbusinessradionetwork.com. The LinkedIn Lady Show is designed to inform, inspire, and educate businesses. Every social media site has a specific demographic, personality, and purpose. And the LinkedIn Lady will interview a variety of guests, such as business owners who can showcase their business and talk about how they use social media, such as Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Google+, Pinterest, and of course, LinkedIn. For more on Carol and the show, check out her website, LinkedInLady.com. As trends change and new applications become available, the LinkedIn Lady Show will bring that information to you in an easy-to-use, fun, and engaging way. Every Tuesday and Wednesday afternoons at 4 p.m. Eastern, it's the LinkedIn Lady Show with Carol McManus on allbusinessradionetwork.com.
It's words you never heard.
Laughter was such good medicine. Ancient Greek physicians sent their patients to visit comedians to be healed. In the 1300s, surgeon Henry D. Mondeville used to tell jokes to his patients in the recovery room. Dr. Mondeville must have been a bit of a Witzelsuch. That's a person who tells jokes and no one ever laughs. We laugh 6 times more when in the company of another person than we do by ourselves, and 30 times more when we are in a group. Laughter isn't under our conscious control. If you've ever started cachinnating at school, in church, or at a funeral, you know what I'm talking about. Cachinnating is another word for uncontrollable laughter.
It's Marching Neighborhood.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
We're back with Sandra Beck and Linda Franklin. Here's some more Powered Up with Beck and Franklin.
This is for all you girls.
Hey, ladies, this is Sandra Beck, and I'm here with Linda Franklin, and our guest today is Nancy Yearout. Now, you're going to want to get a copy of her book. It's called Wake Up, The Universe is Speaking to You, and her website is theenergyprophet.com. Now, I want to talk to Linda Franklin because Linda's amazing to me, and she, you were the first Toronto woman to have a seat on the New York Stock Exchange. Is that right, Linda?
Canadian woman.
Or Canadian. Sorry, yes, Canadian. Sorry, I took your whole country away from you. But that's so impressive because you were in a pit of men and everybody's trading, and the energy there had to be insane.
The energy on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange was beyond insane. So that's why I only spent maybe 6 months down there. I had to go down there. It was like throwing Daniel into the lion pit, and I was so thankful when it was over, and then I could go back upstairs and trade with my guys, in our office, because that was just terrible. But on Wall Street, it's survival of the fittest. You've got to be strong. You have to develop kind of a second skin, especially as a woman, because it's just, it's a man's domain. But I loved it. And I was able to go from secretary to running the trading department for some of the similar reasons, that Nancy was talking about. I had to develop my confidence and say, I can do it. This is what I want. This is what's going to happen. And not only did I have to convince myself, but I had to convince all of my partners in the firm to say, okay, let's give her a shot. But, once you believe in yourself, just magic happens. And for as long as it lasts, I thought I knew everything. I was there for, 26 years. And then some of the magic started to dissipate, and I could see the changes happening. And because I wasn't so sure of myself anymore. And as soon as I lost it, I knew I had to leave because I was dealing with so much money, and you couldn't afford to be there if you weren't on top of your game. And I saw myself kind of slipping, so I said, I have to leave. And the bottom line of it was I lost confidence in myself because things were happening so fast down there, and I wasn't sure I could keep up. So, nothing is ever perfect, and life has its ups and downs. And that was probably a good thing that I left when I did, because what I thought was the perfect solution to my life was only the tip of the iceberg, and I had so much more to learn. And it was only when I left Wall Street that I started to get into more and more and more of this fabulous stuff that really enhances your life and makes it so much more beautiful.
You felt you felt it in your gut that you were done. You were ready to move on. Is that what you're saying?
No, I did. Originally I thought I'd go out with my boots on. But what I did is I lost confidence in myself. The business was changing so fast, and I wasn't sure if I could keep up with it. So if I believed that I could keep up with it, I'd probably still be there. But it was a loss of confidence. And once you lose that, and once you start to be not sure of yourself, it's like a downward spiral. And you think you might be able, just like at the beginning, you think you get something to hide, but you can fool everybody. But nope. But you can't, because the changes are very, very obvious to everybody that you're around.
People pick it up. They're picking up on what's going on, so they could tell that you lost.
Yeah, they could tell that something was going on with me, and before they could really notice, I thought the best thing I could do was leave in a very good place rather than leave not in a good place.
Yeah, and that makes sense. And I want to talk about that really quickly. When you're in a negative place, it does spiral. Okay. Negativity begots more negativity. And if you get into a really bad place and you're negative and you can't get out of it, it seems like it's almost impossible. You get into a rut. And that's why I tell people stop and just clear yourself and start doing some meditation and go get a massage and do some of these things that I talk about in my book. Because what happens is if you don't stop and clear yourself and kind of get a grip, it will continue to snowball because negative energy begots more negative energy. That's pretty much how it goes.
Yes, absolutely. And plus, I was starting to go through menopause, and so my hormones were running wild. I was starting to approach the 50, and I thought that was the end of the world. And, I mean, there was so many different, it's never just one thing. It's just so many things that compound on top of one another, and then that spiral, drags you down. You say, I better get off the merry-go-round. I don't think anybody ever leaves a job or a career because everything is wonderful and I just want to spend more time with my family. There's usually a reason. That was the hype. I want to spend more time with my family, with my kids. But it's usually because they were going through similar kind of burnout that I did.
Now, I do believe in divine intervention. I have and I talk about synchronicity in my book, and everything does happen for a reason. We're not in control. That was one of my difficult things to overcome, was to think that I was in control of everything, and I wasn't, and I'm still not.
Never. I mean, that's one of the greatest lessons we can learn is we really have no control over anything.
Right. Over anything. And I have to be honest with you, I really never thought I would be doing this type of work. But it's interesting how everything in my life, being a single mom, having to learn how to survive, taught me how to use the energy, how to clear myself, how to teach others. It just is amazing. I never thought I'd be in this position where I'm actually able to give back and teach people how to do this kind of stuff so they can be successful too. Because in my mind, and this is what I think and this is what I believe, we're all little creators. We create our own world with our thoughts, the vibration of our thoughts and the vibration of our words and who we think we are. That vibration goes out to the universe and comes back to us. So if you think, as you were speaking earlier, if you say, I am so successful, you will be. But if you start to say, I'll never be successful, or I'll never lose this weight, or whatever the situation is, you won't, because that's the energy you're putting out.
Yeah, and they always say, too, live it like it's already here. Don't wait for it to materialize. Just say it's already here, and I'm going to live like it's already here, whatever I'm dreaming of.
Well, but you know what the key to that whole thing is, and I want to mention this. You have to feel it. You have to know what it feels like.
Yeah, it just can't be words, because words mean nothing.
Well, we're
okay, but I'm just going to buzz in here now, girls. I'm like, because you guys are like, yeah, you got to believe it. You got to believe it. And I'm like, okay, the $1 million question from the single mom over here that's still dogging it out in the trenches is what if you don't? What if you're like me, you get up in the morning, you're shot out of a cannon, and it's really hard. Like, I got to the point where I was trying to brainwash positive thoughts into my head. I made these index cards, and I'd read them before I went to bed, read them when up in the morning, read them when I brush my teeth. This is all well and good, but how do you go from knowing to believing? Anybody?
This is where, you started out right, and this is where a lot of people make the mistake, okay? It's called faith. So you have your index cards and you did exactly what you should do, or you have a vision board and you get up in the morning and you say, I'm going to, whatever, if you're in real estate, I'm going to sell houses like crazy. But you have to believe that you're going to sell a house, and you have to know what it feels like when you close that deal and get that money. You have to know what it feels like on the inside. It's just like if you wanted a car, okay? And you put a car up on your vision board and you wanted a black car. You have to see yourself driving it, not your friend. You have to see yourself driving it. You have to feel, what would it feel like? You have to know what it would feel like to drive that car, because the universe picks up on that. And that's where a lot of people make the mistake. They may say it, can't just say it. You have to feel it and know you'll receive it and have the faith. Now, a lot of people say, oh, I don't believe in this, or I believe in our Creator, and know that somebody up there is bigger than us, and you have to have faith.
Well, that's where like the borrowing of faith helped, and for me, because at the point I got divorced and my mom was really sick, dying of breast cancer. I mean, there wasn't anything left in me to believe in myself. And one of my friends looked at me, my friend Rick, and we were doing this big army job, and I'm like, "Oh, Rick, crap, I'm dead, I'm dying." And he's like, "You know what, Sam? Borrow my faith. Lean on my faith till you find your own." And, I was raised with great faith. It's not like I was a non-believer. I didn't know my prayers. I didn't have my practices. I mean, I went through all of my Catholic training, and, I married a Jewish man, and I can Barakatoy Adonai Eloheinu with the best of them. So I had, two great major religions at my disposal, but I was tired. And I think, okay, I'm just going to go with this one, but I think you have to surrender. Like, I think when I was in those days of just memorizing, just rote memory, trying to brainwash myself, I was still thinking there was something I had to do, and I hadn't turned it over. And once I flipped over the cards, if you will, and said, "You know what, God, I can't do this. You have to help me. I need," and then I called on everybody, spirit angels, spirit guides, animal guides, shiny rocks, you name it. I was willing and able to be helped by the universe. And that's when I think things turned around.
You're exactly right. You hit it right on the head. You can say your intentions, but you have to know you'll receive it. You don't dwell on it. It's just like if you want to meet a guy. Okay, I got to a point in my life where I just wanted to meet a nice guy, and I couldn't meet a nice guy for anything, and it drove me nuts. And I'm like, okay, God, what is this? I'm not supposed to meet a nice guy. So I finally realized I had to work on myself, because when you don't get something right away, it's because you have to no, and the real estate business is really difficult, and I didn't want to date any of my clients. But, I'm thinking, why am I not meeting the right person? And this is really important. I got to get this out, guys. Why am I drawing the wrong guys to me? Because I kept drawing the same guy.
We're gonna end on a cliffhanger. We're gonna go to commercial break. Now, if you want to know how to meet the great guy, if you want to manifest wealth and abundance, great health, the bikini body by June, you're gonna have to come back from the break, because we are here today with Nancy Yearout. Her book is called Wake Up, the Universe is Speaking to You. We're here with my wonderful, favorite, fun, happy co-host, Linda Franklin, coming us to frozen New York City, and it's wonderful here in Southern California today. But when we come back from the break, we are going to find that secret that Nancy's talking about. We know how to do it. We know what to do. Now we're going to talk about what we ask for, because as Linda Franklin will tell you, if you don't ask for it, you're never going to get it.
Sandra Beck and Linda Franklin after these messages.
It's merging never heard.
Did you realize that Twitter is over 10 years old? Twitter was first launched in March of 2006, with the hashtag feature appearing about a year and a half later. Twitter employs more than 2,700 people around the world. Today, there are over 241 million active users on Twitter, with an average of 500 million tweets per day. Now that's a lot of traffic. A lot of new words have been coined from the Twitter app. Tweetheart is your Twitter boyfriend or girlfriend, and Twitterphoria is the feeling you get when they tweet you back. If you don't want to feel like a twittiot when you tweet, there's a whole list of proper twetiquette available. At first, even I was a bit of a Twitterphobe, but if you want to follow me at Too Funny Carolyn, that would be twit-tastic.
It's merging never heard.
I'm Carolyn Davidson, and you can have fun challenging your words you never heard vocabulary with my free app, Too Funny for Words.
Have you heard? The pages of American Patchwork and Quilting magazine come to life on our new weekly online radio show, American Patchwork and Quilting. Join Pat Sloan, our blogging and quilt designer host, as she talks about the latest trends, ideas, and inspirations. Her guests include quilt pattern designers, authors, quilt shop owners, and our editors, all quilters, just like you. Call in with your questions. Get quilting tips from industry experts. Learn about free patterns. Hear behind-the-scenes stories from our magazines, American Patchwork and Quilting, Quilt Sampler, and Quilts and More. Get the scoop on free stuff and find out more about the best independent quilt shops in North America. To listen to a live show, tune in Monday at 4 p.m. Eastern. Just log on to allpeoplequilt.com/radio. To hear past shows, go to iTunes and search for American Patchwork and Quilting Radio. We hope you'll join us because we know that quilting changes everything.
We're back with Sandra Beck and Linda Franklin. Here's more Powered Up with Beck and Franklin.
Hey, ladies, this is Sandra Beck, and I'm here with Linda Franklin, and our guest today is Nancy Yearout. Now, if you guys remember, in the first part of today's show, we gave away a promo code for you to get $35 off your first week of delivery. So go to HelloFresh.com and enter in today's show promo code FRESH. Fast, that's FRESHFAST, and you will get $35 off your first week of deliveries, and you will not be sorry. Oh my gosh, they're so much fun, and it will take driving, cooking. You still got to cook, but it'll take so much off your shoulders. You'll be glad you did. So now we're going to go back to Nancy Yearout, our guest today. She's got a book called Wake Up. The universe is speaking to you. And she's going to talk about how she got this great husband, how she got this great abundance in her life, and I'm all ears.
Okay. Well, I was a single mom, and the girls got a little older, and I didn't want to date anybody in my industry. And so, I kept asking. I kept saying, okay, God, I really want to meet somebody. And I'd keep meeting the same kind of guy. And I think, well, why am I meeting the same kind of guy? And I asked my friend, why is this happening? And she's like, well, maybe you need to change something about yourself because you keep drawing in the same type of person. And then I realized, so I did a little work on myself. I probably spent a year, just in counseling and just trying to figure out why am I drawing the same kind of person to myself and really doing some soul searching, and I figured it out and I got myself together. Once I got myself together, then I realized, okay, I'm going to ask for what I really want. But I learned to be specific with my words because I asked a couple times and I wasn't specific. And this is where your words and the vibration of your words really come into play. And I'm very serious about this. Be careful what you ask for because you may just get it. Okay. So what I did was I got very serious and I got out a piece of paper and a pen, not online, not on my computer, an actual pen and piece of paper, because the ink makes it stick, and it's the energy of you sitting there and writing down, what do you want in a man? And I wanted somebody who was religious, and I wanted somebody who had hair. And I wanted somebody.
Oh my God, hair and a bad back. You've already beat my ex-husband right there. Good back, hair. We're all good to go.
Yeah, and I wanted somebody that was a hard worker like me. I wrote down what was really important to me. And I'm sincerely telling you this. This is what I did. And I said, okay, God, this is what I really want. And I put the energy out to the universe and I let it go. And, I always say, ask, and you have to ask, and I do agree with that. And you always get what you wanted or maybe something better. Okay. And, long story short, he was divorced and I was divorced and our kids got us online and we met on eHarmony and we went on our first date and we've been married. Gosh, we've been together for 8 years now and we are so happily married and we are so matched. So I asked and I got what I wanted and more. I mean, he's wonderful and we have a wonderful relationship, but I had to fix myself first. Because if you're drawing in the wrong person, it's something to do with you. So that's the first thing. And secondly, really be careful to ask for what you want. Because if you're not careful, you may just get something different. if that makes sense.
Nancy, I understand that, and if it's not too personal, I would like to know, because you said you were asking and asking, and the wrong guys were coming, and so you said I have to fix what's in myself. What was the major fix in you that enabled you to attract this wonderful man that you have now?
I think just not being needy. being my own person, not really needing anybody. Once you're comfortable with yourself, you have to be comfortable being alone. I had never been alone. I was married young, and it always seemed like I always had a boyfriend. I had never really been alone, and I was okay with being alone. And I think because we all come into this world by ourselves and we leave by ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to be comfortable with yourself. I just got to that point, and I think that was really it. I was comfortable with who I am. And I asked God, I said, I want somebody who loves me for who I am on the inside, not on the outside. When you're pretty, you think people look at you and they get a different impression. I wanted somebody who really cared about me for who I was as a person. And I think that comes with age, maybe with maturity, but that's what I got.
Yeah, no, I think that's really important because I spend a lot of alone time, and I think it's really so important because I live in New York, and there's 1,000,001 things you could be doing every single day and night, and I know women that they're running around, and they're going here, and they're going here, and they're out, and they're running, and it's almost like if they stop for 10 minutes, like the boogeyman's going to get them because they constantly have to be on the go, and it's like, oh my God, how can you live like that? It's just so tough. But it's that fear of loneliness.
Yeah, and you've got to be comfortable with yourself, and you've got to not be needy. And that's it. And I thought, I needed a guy to be complete, but I didn't. I needed a partner, and we're both very independent people, and we do our own thing, and we meet in the middle, and that's how it should be. And we complement, yeah.
So I want to go back to this list because I have my pen and my paper right here. So, okay. I look at okay, I'm ordering a hamburger at Five Guys. I want lettuce, tomato, onions, cheese. Do you just sit down and make a list? Like, I want blue eyes. I want somebody who has a pulse.
What's important to you? What's
short
important
list?
To you?
Short list.
Short list. What are the three non-negotiables?
Hardworking. That one I like.
Okay.
Can I put he can't be stupid?
Sure.
I don't know how to say a positive.
Guy, and he was really stupid, and I couldn't deal.
I did too. And I'm it was like, I would sit there and he'd look up from his steak and go, "You read too much." And I'm like, "You don't read at all." And that was the end of dinner.
So apparently that's important to you. So yes.
I don't know. I guess I'm going to sit down with Linda and figure it out because I'm not good at articulating these things, and Linda's really good. Linda's like, okay, if you need somebody to go in battle with you who's the sniper, I'd be there with the logistics map, and she would have already blown the guy's head off.
Well, and I'll tell you what, a little prayer can't hurt either. How about, send me the perfect guy for me. You do need to pray a little bit too. And there is power in that. And again, here we are, power of intention, power of the spoken word. And just say, hey, I don't know whether you say God or creator or how you believe, but just say, I need your help. Send me the best person for me. And it'll happen. And here's the thing. Here's what I learned as well. And you need to really understand this. You can ask for whatever you want, and you will receive it or something better. But it won't always be in your timeline. It will be in our Creator's timeline. Mm-hmm. So you may ask and you may do your list, and he may not come along for 6 months, and that's okay. It's not going to be in your time. It's going to be on our Creator's time because our Creator knows better than we do.
No, you're not in a hurry, Sam, so that you do that. Yeah.
No, I'm not in a
you
hurry.
have to be ready.
Nancy, they told... Oh, go ahead.
I just said you have to be ready, and when you're ready... You'll know when you're ready, and I think you're just not ready yet.
Yeah, because see, Nancy, you were in real estate, so you'll get this. Like after I got divorced and I built my own home, and it's 5,000 square feet, and it's a walk-in closet in the bathroom and a jacuzzi tub and double sinks. And I have one sink for my hair and one sink for my makeup. And I'm really not willing to give it up for someone who shaves.
Okay, I'm going to tell you something, because feng shui and energy have something to do with this. And I want you to do me a favor. I want you to take that other sink and clean it off, because it needs to be open for the guy to come in. How's that guy going to come in if you have it already occupied? That's why you haven't met anybody. And you, in your closet, you need to leave a space for him, because right now you have all your clothes in there. So what I want you to do, and I mean this sincerely, and I want you to let me know how this works out for you. You have to move your clothes. You have to give him a space. You have to open this up.
But I really like my two. I have two walk-in closets. One has my summer clothes. One has my winter clothes. Can't he just live down the hall?
See, you don't have room for him yet.
No.
We'll build you another house. You're not ready.
Like, you've got 3 closets, 1 for me and 2 for you.
You understand where I'm coming from with this?
I do, and I'm poking fun, but I know, because when I clean out my closet, and I have 2 walk-in closets, and they have everything neatly organized, and I'm like, there is nowhere for this man to be.
But you have to give him a place to be, or he won't come.
Yeah.
So I want you to clean out, give him a space in one of your closets, and clean out and give him a sink. You have to set it up.
All right, I could start with a drawer. Baby steps. Like, he could have like the toothpaste drawer by the second sink that sticks.
I believe that you're going to meet somebody wonderful, and it'll just, once you make the decision, maybe you're not ready. Maybe it's not the time yet. Maybe he's with somebody else and he has to get through what he has to go through. But just make that list. I'm serious, and it will help you. There's a lot of things you can do, and clear your space. Do you ever sage your house with white sage?
Oh. Yeah, I do. I clear it out, and it's wonderful and loving and open, and I love to have people over. It's just, there's like my sanctuary, and maybe I need to move my sanctuary somewhere else, because I realized one of the great things about being a single mom and a single woman is, like, I have the lady cave. I learned that phrase this week because I'm like, you guys should come to my garage. It's got a dance floor. It's got all this equipment. It's so great. And they're like, it's the lady cave. So yeah, no man cave for me, but we'll figure it out. But I want to thank you so much. And even though I tease you, I hear what you're saying, and I do honor it and respect it. I want to thank you for being our guest today, Nancy Yearout. Her book is called Wake Up, The Universe is Speaking to You. For those of you that want to get your HelloFresh $35 off your first delivery, go to HelloFresh.com, put in the code word Fresh Fast, and you will get $35 off your first week of deliveries. For Linda Franklin and myself, Sandra Beck, I would like to thank you for being our listener today. And we're so excited. And I hope that you'll go on iTunes and listen to other shows like this, because they really do help you. Nancy Yearout is a living, breathing example of what you can do if you change your intentions, you change your energy, you can have the life you've always dreamed about. We'll be back again next week.
We're so glad you joined us for Powered Up with Beck and Franklin. Sandra Beck, Los Angeles-based single mother and technology company owner, knows what it's like to be fit, funny, and fantastic in your 40s. Linda Franklin, a New Yorker with a successful marriage and